What is going on, guys? Chase here, back with another trading video, guys. I hope everyone here is having a great week. We're going to be doing something different in today's video. We're going to actually be going over my strategy and how to trade my ICT Power 3 strategy. Obviously, in this video, we're going to be going over the change in state of delivery. We're going to be going over 5-minute fair value gaps and when I actually enter my trades and when I place my stop losses and how I kind of shoot for those 2 to 3 to 4 RRs. So again, hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you guys do enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you hit that follow button and like the video, guys. That is greatly appreciated. And yeah, let's hop straight into the video. Alright guys, so now we are into the charts right here. I am on MNQ, and basically the power of 3 type of strategy that I trade is obviously going to be around that 10 a.m. time. Now I know a lot of people also trade at 2 p.m. But either way, the PO3 kind of sets up around 10 a.m. every single morning. That's when I usually do trade. So right here we kind of have a good example. This is on the 10 a.m. here on TradingView on MNQ, and the power of 3. What that is, guys, if you guys aren't familiar with power of 3, obviously our first stage is that accumulation or our consolidation in a straight period. So when we're not making any new highs, not making any new lows, kind of staying in the same range, then after a consolidation around that 10 a.m. period, we're going to be seeing something called our manipulation period. What that's going to be is we're going to be manipulating to either the downside or the upside. Now, when we manipulate, that usually manipulates to retail trader stop losses. So you kind of have to think what not to do when you're a retail trader in this strategy, but it usually plays out. A lot of people who do trade this strategy have around a 60 to a 75% win rate, which is actually really good for a trading strategy. If you do master this PO3 strategy, it could have you up to around a mid 70% win rate. So let's hop right into the chart. So as you guys can see here, obviously at that 10 a.m. period, we had our consolidation in kind of a range where we're not making any new lower lows, not making new higher highs. We're just kind of staying in this consolidation. Obviously, when market opened, we had that huge rush up. So before I actually place a trade, I like to see our daily bias. Now with this strategy, you always have to find your daily bias. So what we do to find our daily bias is we're going to go on a higher time frame. Usually you guys can go on the 5-minute, 15-minute, 45-minute. Usually what I like to do is I like to go on the 45-minute just to kind of see what we're feeling, you know, kind of on the day. So if we do see here, we are kind of overall, we are in an uptrend overall, but now we started kind of consolidating down. Now, what I like to look for is not lower than 1 minute, but a little bit higher, maybe like a 5-minute, 15-minute fair value gap. So right here, as you guys can see, a big wake up with some down, have a little bit up, no really key levels to look at right here. So what I like to do is now go to the 15-minute. 15-minute, obviously we are testing a little bit of a consolidation zone where we had that big move down, but we still really don't have any indicators of how this can be a key level. So let's go down to the 5-minute chart. With the 5-minute chart, we can see here that we actually have a fair value gap. Let's go ahead and mark this fair value gap, as this could come in handy later. So guys, if you guys did not know what a fair value gap is, I can go ahead and actually kind of show you guys. I'll make a video kind of further explaining what a fair value gap is, but basically a fair value gap is when you guys are going to have 3 candles either moving up or down, kind of bullish 3 candles or bearish 3 candles. So what we can see with a bullish example here of a fair value gap is when we're going to have 3 bullish candles all moving to the upside, and you won't see the bottom or the top one kind of get in the way of this middle one. So obviously right here, the bottom candle right here, this top wick goes up here. Let's go ahead and draw a line. And this top candle right here, this bottom wick, the low of that candle, we can go ahead and mark that there. So this candle doesn't drop down into this zone. This bottom candle doesn't come up into this zone. We can assume that this would obviously be our fair value gap. Now, price can play off of fair value gaps a lot, so that's why we like to, you know, kind of mark these out and kind of see. So as you guys can see here, we're almost kind of consolidating around this fair value gap, which means it could test into this today, or we can have a drop. If it does test in this today, obviously we can have a really strong move to the upside if we really break this bullish fair value gap. So let's go now to the 1-minute chart where we actually trade on. Since we have found kind of what our daily bias could be, now let's zoom back into the 1-minute chart And now we see our, obviously, our first stage, our accumulation, where we're accumulating here in the zone. Let's wait for this trade to have that manipulation, stopping out all of our retail traders. Alright, so as you can see here, I let it play for a little bit too long. I don't know why the wick isn't loading right here, but let's just assume, obviously, the wicks came down here. I think it's because I'm in full screen, but we manipulated down here. Now, obviously, down here, we have no fair value gap, but price did reject here off this zone a lot, which was obviously a fair value gap that we had here before. So price tapped back down into this fair value gap, rejected off. We can kind of still mark this zone as a little key level. So we tapped back in here, had a big fall back down to this fair value gap, which was our manipulation. Now, when we have this manipulation, retail traders who are playing support and resistance levels, kind of those retail trader type of movements and strategies, all of these people here got stopped out, because say if they played this low right here, then next thing you know, they were playing calls here or longs here, they got stopped out. So once everything gets kind of stopped out here, that liquidity has to go somewhere. So when we got stopped out here to this fair value gap, saw three big bullish candles, then that could be a sign to enter in, because again, after we see our manipulation, we obviously see our distribution to whatever side's opposite we manipulated to. So let's watch this trade play out here on a fast motion. So as you can see here, that was a huge price action movement. And if you would have caught this down here when we manipulated down to this zone, you guys would have had, let's go ahead and see here. Obviously, if you would have entered in, say, on this retest here, you guys would have gotten, yeah, that is absolutely crazy. So, and again, this strategy here gets those big moves, and obviously you can place your stop losses here at fair value gap. So what I would have done for an easier confirmation, or what I did on this trade actually, is obviously when you see this bullish candle, you kind of want to wait, because obviously we still have that big wick down. So usually what I like to do is wait till price kind of moves up if we're still respecting this uptrend. Obviously, we see here, let's go ahead and mark this consolidation level. Obviously, we see here that, you know, we had consolidation, big downtrend. Now we're kind of reversing. When price tapped back off of this 2 times, this kind of consolidating level here, tap back off this, and obviously that was a fair value gap right here. So we tapped off of their fair value gap, kept moving up, so we can kind of see that maybe we're having a reversal here. So if you guys would have got in at that fair value gap right here, perfectly fine. You guys would have caught a big move to the upside. So with that, let's go ahead and give you some more examples here on our power 3 strategy and how this can increase your win rate literally by 30%. So for our second example here, obviously we have this consolidation period here on a Thursday at around 10 a.m. So obviously, what is our first? We have to find a daily bias. So let's go over here to the 45-minute chart, kind of see what we're feeling here on the day. So today, obviously, we have big bullish movement here, kind of on a down test right now. Let's go ahead and see any key levels here on the 15-minute. Here on the 15-minute, we have a fair value gap in this area right here that we need to be note of. Right here, we are actually in a fair value gap right here. And overall, let's go over here. No really good price actions for this. So let's go ahead and go to the 1-minute chart here and wait for this consolidation to manipulate. Obviously, our first stage of our PO3 is going to be our accumulation or consolidation, whatever you want to call it, where we're kind of just been consolidating here. Obviously, we have this fair value gap right here. And we also have this fair value gap right here that we marked previously, obviously off this big candle. So right now we're just kind of consolidating, and we're waiting for kind of a manipulation to obviously stop out those retail traders. As you guys can see here, we have just reached consolidation highs, moving up here and actually tested past our fair value gap. This is going to stop out all retail traders who wanted to short this position and kind of were just playing support and resistance, or just kind of the basic retail traders price action. So once we tap back into this, that means that the retail traders got stopped out. With all that liquidity, obviously it has to push somewhere. So after our manipulation, what do we have? Our distribution. So obviously you guys can enter in whenever you guys want. If you guys want a confirmation, you can maybe wait and test into a fair value gap, into a zone. So right here, obviously we can go ahead and mark our fair value gap that we had here on MNQ on the 1 minute. So when we had that big move up on our manipulation, we can kind of wait and test this kind of fair value gap here to wait for an entry zone. Obviously, if you guys did want to kind of be a little bit more riskier for a little bit more reward, you guys could obviously enter right here for shorts, but that's not recommended, as a lot of people still get those big moves, because you have to remember, guys, that this power of 3 kind of strategy, it's made to really catch those big moves. Obviously, you guys can catch any moves if you kind of dumb it down here, consolidation, downtrend, but that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking to catch those big moves. So we manipulate up here, stop out all the retail traders. Let's see if we can get kind of a more secure entry here on MNQ. So now, as you guys can see here, we really did not get a good entry point for this. I mean, as you can see here, we had a bullish hammer come in. We just had a big down spike, another big down spike. Obviously, with the replay feature that I'm doing right now, obviously we tested into this, as you guys can see the wick here. So if we could have tested back into this and saw that rejection, you guys could have got in there. But I mean, again, this strategy is to catch these big moves. Let's kind of keep playing here. Yeah, I mean, again, this strategy is for the big moves. Obviously, once it came back in down to this fair value gap level, obviously I would have exited. But again, a super good play when you're trying to catch this kind of manipulation and then play the displacement here. So a really good trade there. Let's go ahead and hop into one more example here on MNQ about what this power of 3 is and how this can really change your win rate and your perspective on trading futures. So for this one, obviously we have ICT strategy. If you guys know what I'm talking about here, this is a smart money maker model. Now ICT talks about this a lot, but I kind of just wanted to show you guys this just for a little bit of a different perspective of trading. We can't always have the consolidation, the manipulation, and then the displacement. You guys want to know how to trade all of our smart money maker models. So for this is a really kind of textbook play here, but this really has played out. Like the time I'm recording this happened about 5 days ago, and I kind of really did want to show you guys how the smart money maker work. So as you guys can see here, let me go ahead and draw it out for you. The curve, the smart money maker model curve, is going to be basically like this. So it's when we just are creating kind of movements like this, creating lower lows, lower highs, kind of keep going, and then we will see the bottom of the curve. Now, no one really knows what the bottom of the curve is until it reacts to the other side. Once we see a reaction here, when we are kind of getting into this lower high, we're kind of testing this. Now, obviously, people don't want to enter in right here because it could still kind of test down and consolidate more. So our entry in for this one, obviously, as you guys can see here, we keep creating lower lows, a little bit of a spike up here, and then a drop. Spike up, drop. So right here, we can see that we dropped down to kind of the bottom of the curve here. We went up. Now we're seeing it test this same exact level right here. Now, obviously, you guys can kind of do a little bit of a gamble here and say, oh, maybe it's going to actually have a reversal. But again, ICT teaches a lot of strategies where you guys can catch big moves. So let's wait for a better entry here on this position, and let's show you guys how I actually traded this in our Discord group on MNQ. Alright, so just with that little price action, that gave us such a better move, such a better entry here, super more confident. So, right here, we created a 1 minute fair value gap. Let's see if there was a 5 minute as well. Not a 5 minute, but a 1 minute fair value gap here. We went above our previous lower low, broke this fair value gap. Now we tested. We came back down here. It is now rejecting this fair value gap. So we're not going any more lower. This right here was actually my entry here on MNQ. Me and my Discord members got in on this, and let's just watch the trade play out. Now, this is not even the end of the play, but I just want to go ahead and show you guys here. If you guys did want a little bit of a better entry here on this play, we have again another textbook fair value gap right here. drops back down into it, rejects it, and just what a big move up that we had to the upside. I mean, if you guys would have entered in at the bottom of the bottom of this wick, obviously not a lot of people did. A lot of people, especially in my Discord, got in right here. So let me go ahead and tell you guys where you would place your stops at. So obviously, if you would have went here, that would have been, I don't know why it's so high here, but yeah, that's amazing. So what we would have done was place our stops. I think we placed our stops below below these levels. We would have stopped out right in this level right here. Obviously, no really fair value gaps to look at, but obviously if we tested below this, kind of kept creating new lower lows, obviously price can move a little bit higher, but still it kind of wouldn't have broke this kind of downtrend right here. But since we did go up and test into this fair value gap, obviously we entered in here, our stops would have been probably down here a little bit. So again, that is a smart money maker model. If you guys do want more videos on that, just comment that down below. I can kind of go into a further explanation of this, but again, me and my Discord took this trade on MNQ, and everyone was super excited here because we all just saw a textbook play here on ICT strategy. And again, that's why I really do like ICT strategy, is because we catch big moves, and it really does have a high win rate if you have good kind of strategy and you have good discipline to let the trades play out. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and leave some feedback down below. My Discord is going to be in my bio or in the caption here or in the description, where we trade every single day for free. So if you guys are interested in that, we have a ton of members, ton of support, ton of free information. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you click the link down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a great week. Peace, guys.